not just Black disabled travelers, but disabled travelers across the spectrum, particularly wheelchair users, are really harmed by these airlines. Not just Southwest, pick a fucking airline, all of the major airlines. They all have this very nasty habit of damaging and or outright destroying expensive wheelchairs for people that use them, right? And to be clear, because a wheelchair is expensive does not mean that its owner is rich. Okay? Like usually people who acquire motorized wheelchairs or, custom mobility devices, they've had to been procured by hook and crook, lots of them. So for a wheelchair user to have their custom chair, their special order chair, for that to be smashed to fucking pieces by the airport, by the airlines, and then for the disabled person to be given either no remedy, half-ass remedy, speculative remedy, it's really disrespectful and really intentionally diminishes the roles in which mobility aids play in the lives of disabled folks. Oh, well, we could just give you this loaner chair. Fuck your loaner chair. Run me my shit. Anyway, let's hear it directly from the mouths, specifically of mobility device users and wheelchair users, about how their devices and by extension they are treated while traveling on most major American airlines. Let's take a listen.
Airlines is reviewing a viral video that shows a baggage handler releasing a passenger's wheelchair down a jet bridge chute. It happened on Sunday at Miami International Airport. You can see that wheelchair crashed into a metal barrier. Now, a spokesperson for the airline says the video is disturbing and the company is investigating. They also say the airline will improve its training.
American Airlines broke my wheelchair. Now look, when I got off the plane, I knew it was something wrong. Something told me, I could feel it in my bones. I knew it was something wrong. The wheelchair did not move right at all, right? So I went and got my bag. Before I left the airport, I was like, hold up, something just doesn't feel right. And I know because I spoke to somebody before and they said, whatever you do, if you feel like there's something wrong with your wheelchair, do not leave the airport. I'm literally at the threshold about to leave the airport, and I turn around. I said, look, I know it's something wrong with the wheelchair. So I go get one of the people that's walking around. I tell him something wrong with the wheelchair. He proceeds to tell me there's nothing wrong with the wheelchair. I said, how you gonna tell me? I'm the one that's in the wheelchair every single day. I know it's something wrong with my wheelchair, right? He takes me up to the thing. I show him what's wrong with the wheelchair. I go grab the tag that they tagged my wheelchair with, and the back is broken too. Yo, American Airlines broke my wheelchair. I had to file a claim. So now I'm about to see how long it takes American Airlines to fix my wheelchair, okay? Imagine if this is my only wheelchair, all right? How long is it gonna take them to fix it? This is how I get around. This is why airlines need to put the wheelchair on the plane instead of taking it and putting it underneath the plane, all right? Because we don't know what's going on with our wheelchairs when they're putting it underneath the plane. You don't know what type of care they're taking.
The Airlines revealed an airplane seat concept this week that will allow wheelchair users to stay in their own chairs throughout a flight. It comes equipped with a built-in seat that folds up to allow the wheelchair to dock in place.
While I have you here, I want to make sure you understand that Delta is not doing this out of some drive for innovation. It's because they fucking keep breaking wheelchairs. People's wheelchairs. According to the Washington Post, airlines have lost or damaged more than 15,000 wheelchairs. 15,000 since 2018. Roughly 29 a day when this was reported in 2021. And you could specifically Google the words Delta plus broken wheelchair and hear some horror stories, okay? The majority of wheelchairs that disabled people use are custom made and have to be so that they don't die. On the low end, you're paying $5,000 for a wheelchair like this. And they're breaking them and offering people $100 vouchers. Is this a giant step in the right direction? Absolutely. But also, can we please pretend that they're not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts?
So I just had the worst outcome of flying with a wheelchair with Southwest Airlines, and I flew from Seattle, Washington to Phoenix, Arizona. My chair was tagged as no damage at the ticketing counter when I checked in. I took it to the gate. I took myself down the jet bridge. I left my chair at the plane door and boarded the plane. And when I arrived in Phoenix, my chair was damaged, and Southwest Airlines staff routinely suggested that I left my chair in this condition and that this was my responsibility, not theirs. My chair has clearly been dropped, smashed, run over. I don't know what they did. I don't know how you can destroy someone's mobility device so wildly and yet imply that I somehow managed to board the plane in a chair that's not usable and it's broken. The frame is broken, the crossbar is broken, the axle is broken, the seating is broken. Here's, if you can see how mangled my chair is. It is completely unusable. It is completely bent, broken, scraped, scratched. It's the wheel is clearly not straight anymore because that axle's broken. A repair technician today told me that there's absolutely no repair that could fix this chair. And the baggage office at the Phoenix airport tried to tell me that an old transport chair was a substitute. I'm traveling by myself. I don't have someone to push me in a chair. It does not have the appropriate seating for me. It doesn't have the appropriate fit. It isn't anything that will meet my needs for my mobility. And I was incredibly frustrated by the treatment that I received and how I was routinely told that there was nothing wrong, that there was nothing that was done to my chair, that this is how I left it with them. From the moment that I saw my chair and I complained at the gate to the baggage office and everything in between, I'm still waiting for a solution right now. There's no repair for this chair. I had to take it to my hotel because they made me take it with me broken, since I refused to take an old transport chair that I cannot get around with anyhow. And I'm incredibly frustrated with Southwest Airlines, and they've destroyed my independence for this week. I was supposed to be here for a wheelchair sports clinic, and I can't get around.
My heart. I got a little misty watching that, and I'd seen all these videos. I picked these fucking videos, and I was sitting there watching them all back to back. And I just was just thinking of just the absolute disregard that our society has for disabled people. And when you juxtapose that, the amount, juxtapose that against the amount of disabled people that we have in this country in total, it's astounding. Like, why simple things like getting around are made so challenging for those that don't fit a quote unquote normal body or fully abled body. It's 2024. Like, we're like, disabled people are still dealing with this shit. And to be clear, like, this is a societal issue, I guess, and driven by capitalism and white supremacy. How white supremacy, Kim? Wasn't that a white lady talking? Yeah. But, white supremacy is what helped to drive the either elimination or disregard of disabled enslaved folks, right? How many of our folks were tossed off the side of the boats during the transatlantic slave trade because people became either ill or couldn't work, not strong? They were thrown overboard. Okay. They weren't helped. They weren't given treatment. No, they got rid of them. That's what capitalism did, right? And this normalization of the normal body, this white male body, right? And anything that falls outside of that is treated as other and lives for those who live in not quote normal bodies are made exponentially harder. And for that woman to have been traveling for a a wheelchair sports clinic, and for them fuckers to have bust her chair up and then told her that she brought it to the airport that way, really? Is that what you really think? But again, no matter what the presentation of a disabled person, if they have a visible disability, they are taken to be stupid. Okay, like you'd be surprised. Like I know, you know, I'm not a disciplined scholar out here, kids. We know that. But I think we could be in agreement that I ain't dumb out this bitch. I can articulate in past words with the best of them, okay, and the worst of them, right? When I am perceived, when my disability is picked up, I get talked to dumb. I get talked to real dumb. And it's like, oh, I get it. Oh, you think because I'm a little physically diminished out here that that diminishment is across the board, and you want to treat me accordingly. Well, that tells me a lot about you, first of all, that you would treat someone different based off their ability or disability, or you think you could get over on somebody based on their visible disability or ability level, right? I've encountered that lots. But this is not just an airline issue. Again, this is a societal issue. But in the case of this, of the wheelchairs being destroyed by the airlines, the luggage handlers have such disregard for the wheelchairs because the airline itself has disregard for the wheelchairs. Right? It is not hard to accommodate a wheelchair underneath an airplane. They could section off, you know, with borders or barriers or ropes or whatever the fuck, and have all the chairs sitting there to themselves, not rolling around, not being jostled around. And a luggage handler, as same as you know, as they're bringing the animals, the dogs. Which, by the way, you guys travel with your dogs on airplanes? How could you? How could you? But anyway, the same way they handle the dogs, hopefully better. But you know, you can walk the fucking wheelchair up the ramp into the belly of the airplane and stow it and store it in a way that it does not get jostled and damaged. But they don't care to do that, I guess, because you know that takes too much time. And capitalism said these planes got to get off the ground and now, right? So fuck these people in their wheelchairs. We'll give them a little $100 voucher. We don't give a fuck if we are absolutely destroying their independence for an indeterminate amount of time. We don't care that it could take them weeks, months, or never to accumulate the thousands of dollars needed to replace their specific chair, right? And some people ask, well, what about the Americans with Disability Act, the ADA? Please follow Amani Barberin if you're not already on all the platforms. She's on Twitter, she's on TikTok, she's brilliant. And she will tell you that the ADA, you know, that shit was cute. but people think that like, oh, disabled person, you encountered some ableism at a business or in public. Why don't you just report to the ADA? The ADA is a piece of legislation, okay? We guys and you guys know in this country the worth of laws around here. Like, don't nobody give a fuck about not being ADA compliant out this bitch. Nobody give a fuck because ain't no consequence for it. Ain't no fine. Ain't no we gonna report you and you're gonna get a strike or a citation. That's not how this shit works at all. It is a lengthy process to try to get a business hemmed up on some ADA shit, and you'd be better off filing a discrimination lawsuit. It would probably move a lot quicker if that's the direction that you decided to go. But let me just be clear here. Disabled people encounter this kind of ableism and inaccessibility in every strain of travel. Travel is just one way. Even traveling locally, people who are visually impaired and you or people who use service animals as companions, as assistants, as mobility aids themselves, they encounter routine discrimination when trying to either hail cabs or get ride shares, right? A driver will confirm the ride to a person with a service animal, and then when they pull up and see the service animal, they'll cancel the ride or they'll just leave. And they'll just leave. I want you guys to imagine a visually impaired person with a service animal. The lift is on the fucking way. Here come the lift. 2 minutes away, 1 minute away. And then skirt. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? This is why I am okay with this society being upturned and overturned. Because what do we do for the least of us around here when we could just make it better? On the flip side, on the argument of the rideshare drivers who say, well, I don't want to have pet hair dander. Some drivers rather passengers are allergic to pet dander and that kind of stuff. That's fine. But then it is imperative on the rideshare providers, the companies, the Ubers, the Lyft specifically, identify the drivers in the vehicles that are okay with transporting animals. Don't just not have it available for folks using service animals at all. That is excluding an entire group of people from utilizing your service. And look at the group that you're excluding. People who would maybe otherwise drive if they fucking could.